Hello, welcome to the first episode of Case Closed. I'm your host Ava, and today we will be diving into the case of the Golden State Killer. This case took place in the Golden State of California, where for nearly a decade, a serial killer ran free. This series of tragic murders began on September 11th, 1975, around 2 a.m., when 16-year-old Elizabeth Hupp woke up to an unknown man in a ski mask hovering over her. Hupp was allegedly told by the unknown man to remain silent or he would kill her. The man forced Hupp out the back door to the family's carport, and this is where Hupp's father saw the two through the kitchen window. Hupp's father, Claude Snelling, then ran out the back door to confront the killer. At this point, the murderer shot Snelling twice, as well as assaulting Hupp, before running away. Elizabeth stayed with her father while her mother called for help. In the end, Snelling died on the way to the hospital. Snelling was brutally attacked and ripped away from his family. I wish I could say that this is the end of the story, but sadly this is just the beginning. This killing took place in Tulare County. Hupp later said in an interview, "It wasn't until I became a parent myself that I realized there was nothing I could have said that would have kept my dad from trying to save me." Snelling is remembered as a man of faith who loved his family. Following Snelling's murder, there were many calls to the Sacramento Sheriff's Office for prowlers, burglaries, and silent phone calls and hang-ups. Not long after the first attack, on February 2nd, 1978, Brian and Katie Major were attacked on an evening walk around 9 p.m. in Ranchero Cordova, California. Due to the attacks and burglaries in suburban neighborhoods, most residents of the downtown area were on edge. While walking their dog, Brian and Katie were chased and shot at and eventually killed. The following year, on December 30th, 1979, the Golden State Killer struck again, this time taking the lives of Robert Offerman and Deborah Manning. This killing took place in Deborah's home. Deborah and Manning, while in their shared home, were killed during a break-in entry. Manning's death was later featured in Michelle McNamara's 2018 bestseller, I'll Be Gone in the Dark, one woman's obsessive search for the Golden State Killer. On March 13, 1980, the manner of death begins to shift. So far in this case, the murders by the Golden State Killer have been shootings. But on March 13th, Charlene and Lyman Smith have a different experience. In this killing, the Smiths are killed in their home by being bludgeoned to death with a log. Although the shootings so far have been tragic, this manner of death is much more violent than anything that has been seen before by this killer. The next murder took place in August 1980 when Keith and Patrice Harrington were slain in their home located in Southern California. The next murder took place on February 5th, 1981. This is over 6 years from the first murder. On February 5th, 1981, Manuela Whithen was found dead in her home by her mother. In my research, I have not been able to find a manner of death for this murder. A few months later, the next murder took place on July 27th, 1981. Sherry Domingo and Gregory Sanchez were killed while house sitting. The killer took the life of his last known victim on May 4th, 1986, when Janelle Cruz was killed in her home. The Golden State Killer was responsible for at least 13 murders, 100 burglaries, and other criminal charges. It's hard to believe that one person can be responsible for the loss of so many lives. Little did the police know the killer was right among them. Joseph DeAngelo, better known as the Golden State Killer or the original Night Stalker, In 2018, DeAngelo was arrested. A 74-year-old former police officer pleaded guilty to 13 counts of first-degree murder. One of the very people trusted to solve this case was the killer himself. In August 2018, DeAngelo faced his surviving victims and the families of those he murdered in court. In court, DeAngelo stated, "I've listened to all your statements, each one of them," DeAngelo said in court, "and I'm truly sorry to everyone I have hurt. Thank you, Your Honor." On August 21st, 2020, DeAngelo was sentenced to life in prison. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Case Closed. I will be listing the sources I used for the material in this episode in the show notes below.